In this video series, I am going to be making an album from scratch, completely by myself. But there is definitely one problem we're gonna have to address. I am not the world's greatest musician. I don't have Jacob Collier level knowledge of music theory, nor am I some sort of famous guitarist, instrumentalist, or even music producer. I'm just a dude in his apartment trying to make some cool music. Now, before we dive head into this challenge, we're definitely gonna have to set some rules. Okay, so rule number one is that I have to do absolutely everything by myself. So from recording, writing, mixing, mastering, the artwork, the publishing, everything has to be done purely with these two hands. Rule number two, absolutely no loops, full samples, and certainly no yucky AI. Finally, rule number three, I have to keep track of all of the individual hours I spend on this album and add them to the timer up in the top corner of the video. Now, I have made and released an album before, so I know everything that's gonna go into it, but honestly, this is going to be a super daunting challenge. I have no idea how difficult it's gonna be or how long it's even gonna take me, but I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. Okay, so the only thing that I have for the album so far is these scribbles in my notebook. So I got like the title for the first song. I know that I want the album artwork to look like this. It's like me taking a step. My jacket is gonna be like paint splatter. That's pretty much all I'm going off of right now. I know it's gonna be 9 songs. I really want this album to represent my struggle with different addictions that I've had over the years and how I've kind of been able to break past those things. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but basically I want the album to represent overcoming addiction in some way or sense. Something that I want to be super transparent about right at the start of this video series. A lot of these songs and a lot of what I'm going to be doing is centered around my faith. I have dedicated my entire life just trying to live up to the example that Jesus has set for us. I've been to some really dark places in my life, and I'm going to be singing about addiction. So I think it's worth mentioning that my faith is what actually pulled me out of those dark places. That inner conflict that I've always fought between addiction and faith is what this album is going to be about. So with all of the pieces finally in place, I took a seat and started working on the album. The studio was absolutely disgusting. I had bowls and mess and crap everywhere, but you know, somewhere I read that having a messy environment can actually make you more creative, so I kind of just went with it. The very first thing I did was pick up the guitar, plug it in, and honestly just try and get something that I thought would sound cool. And I think it's important to note that I don't really know how to play guitar. I took lessons when I was like 13, but honestly, I just know how to play a couple chords, and I just keep messing around until something sounds cool to me. And another thing I have no right doing is playing drums, but I started laying down some drum patterns and looking for some interesting sounds. Like, here we go. And future Sam here, while editing this video, I'm seeing just how many things have changed just from working on this album for a few weeks. But after laying down some vocal ideas and melodies, the first session of the album was done. So I've just been recording for probably 2 or 3 hours now. Most of it was sound selection, trying to actually map stuff out, chords, coming up with interesting ideas. But with just one more session, the song really started to take shape. Now it's 10:28. I got up at 6 a.m. for work, and now this is the only time I have to actually work on the music. Build some Spider-Verse figures. Check that out, baby. So I got right into it by layering some more guitar parts and using this little capo trick. I am now trying to get just different textures, so I'm taking the cheap way out and putting my capo on the 12th fret so I can just play the same chords but up the octave. So I can just kind of I'm just going to play the same parts over, but just try and get it sounding way more massive. So now I know I wanted some synths to be playing the same chords, but the problem was I didn't actually know what chords I was playing. Remember, no music theory knowledge. So I just went note by note and transcribed onto a MIDI track. Boom, here you go. I'm gonna play it out for you. I just transcribed everything from guitar to piano, and it sounds like this. So if you want to music theory that, go for it. But honestly, to me, it just sounds cool. It sounds like what I'm going for. I'm telling you, I did not use music theory to figure this out. I just started playing stuff and it sounded cool. It sounds like what I want to do. So I'm just going to go with it. All right, y'all. So this is why we experiment, because literally like 2 seconds later here, you got to hear this. So I found this pad and then I put a tremolo on it. It's just like completely changing the vibe of the song, and I love it. Yo, that's it. I'm cooked. 11:21. I've been up for pretty much an extra hour here working on this. I'm pretty excited so far. I mean, I've only put maybe like 4 or 5 hours in. Of course, it's completely unmixed. It's basically just a demo at this point. It's just an idea on the page, but it's so important that you just get something out there, because man, this is going to be such a theme. I can already tell you it's going to be a theme for the whole album. Is it's not about waiting until it's perfect. You know, sometimes you just have to start taking the steps. Like, as you start to do it is how you figure it out. Like, it's not like you're going to sit down and then it's instantly going to sound finished and complete. But instead, as you start to work through it, as you start to test out new sounds, test out new chords, recording strategies, that's how you start to discover the sound literally along the way. So let's just take a quick listen. After just a few hours of work, I just want to hear what it's like. Yeah, okay, so I'm I'm pretty hyped about that. Like, if this is the direction that everything's going to be going in, then I think we're going to be good. And good we were not, because the next session was going to be nowhere near this productive. Okay. My gosh. Okay. So it's been about a week since I put any work into the album at all. 250. Today's the day to bust out the saxophone. I knew that I definitely wanted some saxophone on this album. That's like my main instrument. You know, I was a band nerd for many, many years. So, you know, jazz band, marching band, concert band. I'm just going to set up a mic. I'm going to put on some effects, and I'm just going to play to my heart's content. Which, yeah, I definitely did those things, but I was not happy at all with the results. Okay, I'm cooked. I don't want to do anything ever again. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come back whenever I'm not as tired, and we'll see if I actually like it or not, but here's what it sounds like. So despite losing time on this session, I had to get right back into it, and a couple days later, I came back and sunk a couple more hours into the project. And then a few days later, I spent another 5 hours working on the song off camera, and I was starting to hit a creative wall. I knew I was going to creatively have to do something different to shift my gears, which meant it was time to do another thing I have no business doing: graphic design. Now, remember, the challenge is that I have to do everything alone, which means the album artwork also has to be done by me. And if you remember, I did have an idea for what I wanted the album artwork to look like. My jacket is going to be like paint splatter. So basically, I was just going to see if I could create what had popped into my mind. So I set up my camera and started taking some photos, and really, I was having such a hard time trying to pull focus without having someone behind the camera, and I was trying to experiment with different shutter speeds to get some motion blur. And once again, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of just went for it until I finally landed on this. Now, this is pretty much exactly what I was trying to do, so I knew I was going to make it black and white and needed to find a way to cut out my jacket and make it a paint splatter texture, so it'd be a splash of color amidst a black and white image. And I was experimenting with different ways until this happened. So I just did the takes forever method and then finally started overlaying some paint splatter textures. And after lots of experimentation, I finally landed on a concept I really liked. So now my question is, do you like it with the gold paint splotch in the back or without? I don't know, leave your answer down in the comments. But working on another creative aspect of this project really shook things up and made things easier for me. Oh yeah, and this took about 4 extra hours. It's been about 3 weeks pretty much since I started working on this album. But here's the thing, I work 40 hours a week outside of doing anything for YouTube or music. And I'm gonna wash my hands because I touched my cat, but now I'm about to cook. No one lose their marbles over this. So I already basically, I have 2 part-time jobs, but they take up the hours of a full-time position, if not even more, to be completely honest. So basically, I work on music whenever I can. So guys, I feel like the hardest thing for me right now is I know what I've been through. I know the struggles that I've had. And the hardest thing is trying to find a way to communicate it. Trying to find a way to write lyrics, to use chords, to use sounds, to build the story that you're trying to convey to people. Even if you know what it is you want to get across, it can be so difficult to actually achieve it through the music that you're recording. So the biggest piece of encouragement that I'm gonna leave this video off with is try again. You just have to start working on it. You have to make definitive decisions to be able to move forward and improve upon where you're coming from. For the next video, we're gonna be getting a couple more songs done in the album. Feeling pretty good about this challenge, guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time.